Here we go now.
So I shared with you my morning skincare routine. Now I'm sharing my nighttime skincare routine, brought to you by our friends over at Butter. Over the last several weeks, we've partnered with Butter and I've been utilizing their skincare routine and I have been loving it. So let me share with you my nighttime skincare routine. It's very simple and it's made even simpler by our friends over at Butter. First, I start off with their cleanser. Wash your face with their cleanser. Then I use their silky soft towel, which I love. I love. They're disposable. They are quality. You shouldn't be using the same towel that you use to dry your body on your face. And then I'm using their retinol. People don't understand the benefits of retinol. Smaller pores, youthful skin. A lot of people don't even utilize this. You should. All you need next is their Coco Shea moisturizer. As I've said before, they've made my routine a lot simpler because I've had to use a different morning moisturizer versus what I use at night. With their Coco Shea moisturizer, I can utilize it for my morning and my evening. I just put a little bit less on in the morning. At night, I put a little bit more. And that's it for my nighttime routine. One of the other big questions that people have asked me, is there a scent in the moisturizer? Very light scent. The other question people have asked me, is Butter Black owned? Not only is it Black owned, their president is a Black woman. But of course, you also ask, can we get a discount? Of course, get 10% off when you use my link, butterskin.com/Kempire. More information on Butter will be available in the description. Thanks, Butter. Hey. Okay. Enough of that. Happy Monday, guys. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your #1 source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. Be sure to let me know if you can hear me, see me, all that stuff. I usually jump right on in, but I want to make sure you guys can see me, hear me, all that good stuff. Shout out to our King's Guards, our channel members, and of course, our subscribers. And those of you still not subscribed but still watching, we appreciate you guys as well. This is our new show that we just launched last week called the Rewind, Rewatch, Recap with Kempire. And we're starting with season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. First of all, for those of you that voted for season 6, kudos to you. I am so entertained by season 6. I almost forgot because there are Bravo historians that remember episodes and they remember seasons and they remember moments. They can remember down to the minute. I can't remember stuff like that, but I remember big moments. But I could never tell you like, oh, that happened in season 6. I can't tell you that. Mama Allie says, I love season 6. I am loving season 6. I'm so glad that you guys chose season 6. I mean, I wouldn't have been mad at season 5, but no, season 6 is perfection. There's so many monumental moments. This is the Underground Railroad season. Okay, there's so many seasons, so many moments from this season that are just so monumental to Real Housewives of Atlanta history. So shout out to those of you that chose season 6, or it was one of your favorites of the 4 that we were considering. Manaz says season 6 is elite. Honestly, it is. And I have a lot of thoughts. Last recap, I talked about how Kenya, she definitely was giving very weird, almost crazy energy. Her tagline was being a wild card, so it made sense. But I have to say, in episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8, it's still giving that weird energy. She's twerking around the house, twerking on everything. I think that's just is that little tick when it comes to Kenya. But the messy side of Kenya, the producer side of Kenya, the shade assassin side of Kenya, I definitely see in episode 7 and 8. And I'm like, oh. So this is where I feel like Kenya is really coming into her own, because she even has some monumental moments, especially when the whole underground railroad conversation comes out. She's like, it's almost troubling to me how stupid she is. I have to say, I cringe. I think we laugh about it, but rewatching that scene, I cringe. Especially because right before she's talking about how her grandfather is a civil rights legend. And I'm just sitting, and she's like, and there had to be an entrance. There had to be someone that built it. And both Kandi and Phaedra are trying to help her. And I think she's really in that moment. Okay, I'm skipping ahead, but this is my recap. But she's trying in that moment to really clean it up, but she's not smart enough to clean it up, because how do you clean up something that you just messed up? But okay. All right. We will get to it. I do have some notes in regards to each episode. Kandi, look, there was a moment in Nene's confessional, because I've used some of these GIFs before, and now I'm like, oh, that's from season 6. When Nene's like this, Kandi frustrates me, because this is the season, the biggest part of the season for Kandi's storyline is Mama Joyce. And Mama Joyce believing that Carmen, Kandi's best friend of how many years, and Todd were having some sort of relationship. Looking back on it, I remember feeling like, oh my God, Kandi, like, get a backbone, stand up to your mother. I get it's your mother, but at the same time, there were so many moments in these last couple of episodes that we're about to recap, episodes 5 through 8, that I was like, Kandi, are you producing here? Or are you just this ridiculous and don't have a backbone when it comes to your mother? Because if I was Todd, I would have left you. You gotta give Todd credit. I don't know how people felt back then. I don't know if you agreed with Mama Joyce back then. You guys can let me know, because I don't remember. I don't think I agreed with Mama Joyce back then. I can't imagine that. But I think people still gave Todd the side eye because he was new. We didn't know who he was. Was he really on? We also didn't know what the streets were saying because we weren't in Atlanta. But now looking back on it, the streets were Mama Joyce. Okay? Back then, the streets were Mama Joyce. I don't recall ever agreeing with Mama Joyce. Anyone else? Who agreed with Mama Joyce back then, and maybe you still agree with Mama Joyce now? No. Even looking back at this episode, I'm looking at Mama Joyce like, what is wrong with you? Okay? Okay. Anyway. If you haven't liked the video already, be sure to like the video. And don't forget, you can hear our live recaps like this one and special episodes. We did drop a special episode over the weekend. Hot Topics. It was your weekend update. Gave you some updates in regards to Wendy Williams. Gave you updates in regards to the Rashida and Kirk of it all. Be sure to subscribe to the Kempire podcast, because that's where you'll be able to hear these things exclusively. All right? Charlene's watching. Charlene is watching on Facebook. She says, Todd took one for the team. And luckily he did. And I don't know how he did it, because she was coming at him all kinds of ways. When they were sitting at the table, because this happens in episode 5, because remember at the end of episode 5, Mama Joyce sits down for dinner with Todd and Kandi because they want to be able to move forward. And Kandi just sits there when, mind you, in the previous episodes, Kandi was like, this was the ring that I wanted. So Mama Joyce brings up what she said about the ring. And she was like, I think Kandi just adjusts to, because she knows you're on a budget. She didn't say it like that, but I'm paraphrasing. And she's like, she would want a $30,000, $40,000 ring. Kandi didn't again, we're watching an edited show. Kandi in that moment didn't say anything. She didn't say anything. That is the moment you would want your girlfriend, your fiance, your boyfriend to step up and correct your mom and be like, Mom, I wanted this ring. Again, for all we know, she could have said that. But I will say this, if you pay attention to that scene when Mama Joyce is eating dinner with Kandi and Todd, at one point, the plate is empty in regards to the cake. They were having dessert. And then another point, she's taking a piece of the cake. So that is just a reminder to us, we never know sequences of what we're watching. Go back and watch that scene. It's actually worth watching. There's certain scenes that I would rewind and like, this was a good scene. And again, for those that say that Kandi wasn't a part of the important history of Real Housewives of Atlanta, no. These are important parts because although we don't love what Mama Joyce was doing, if we were in the situation like Kandi, we probably would have said goodbye to our mama. As someone that also has a Scorpio mom, this is why sometimes I do feel connected to Kandi, who's a Taurus, and dating a Leo who has a Leo moon here. But her mom is a Scorpio. Who else has a Scorpio mom? And I will tell you, as the youngest of 6, I know my mama has put my siblings through it when it comes to their relationships. Not like this, but my mother's Scorpio mom. And I have a Scorpio dad too, but very different energy. This is how I'm able to compare the two. Oh, Angel says, I do. My mama crazy. I find it so funny because I've realized in my life that I've attracted a lot of people that have Scorpio moms too. Isn't that funny? Oh, what? Can we talk? Can we all commiserate about having Scorpio moms? But I will say this: even with having a Scorpio mom, there's things that you learn from having a Scorpio mom because you're not gonna be a punk. That's why I think when some of y'all think that I'm a punk, not y'all, but when y'all think that I'm a punk, it's that Scorpio, the way the Scorpio mom raised you with the stinger. Okay. Oh, no, now some of y'all triggered. Calm down. Don't be triggered. Ooh, Tiara says, hold on. Tiara says, bless y'all heart. I could not. Dental G is watching on. Shout out to everyone watching on Twitch. I look crisp and beautiful on Twitch. Okay. Dental G says, I had a Taurus mom. What's your sign, Dental G? I forget. Hey, Queendom. Beautiful picture, Queendom. Good morning, Keisha. Keisha says, good morning, family. And yes, I have a Scorpio mom, and I'm scared of her to this day at this big age. It's not for the faint of heart. So we have to keep that in mind in regards to giving Kandi a little grace because she might have been scared of her mom. It seems like she was a little scared of her mom. I mean, Mama Joyce in this episodes that we're about to talk about, she was kind of scary. All right, I'm jumping around. Let me go to my notes so I can do this. As I do this, guys, don't forget to like the video. Y'all know I drank so much water this morning that I'm like, I already need to go to the bathroom. I will be taking a break, maybe a musical break. We haven't done a musical break in a while. In a second, because I was like, damn, this water. I had tea. See, this is my fault. I start my morning off with my hot lemon tea with the chia seeds and oh, your mom's an Aries, Queendom says. Oh, I don't know what that's like, but I have a Aries friend who has an Aries mom, and I've been around her, so that's not for the faint of heart either. Aries moms, that's not for the faint of heart. Focus. So I had my little concoction in the morning, and that's already like 16 ounces. And then I had my cassava shake. You know, I love a cassava shake. That's like 16 ounces of water. What was I thinking? I want to stay hydrated. It's the summertime. I wanted to stay hydrated. Okay. Just saying. All right. So Phaedra. I will say this. One thing that stood out to me, because Apollo in episode 5 goes to seek counsel from Peter Thomas because, he's older and whatever. So at the top of the episode, you see Phaedra's going off to Alabama, and she's still mad at Apollo. He's trying to say goodbye to her, and she's like, I'm not talking to you. Damn. Scorpio mom. She's a Scorpio mom. I wish Aiden and Dylan luck, because they're being raised by a Scorpio mom too. So I already know she's gonna give whoever they're dating hell. Those are the years of Phaedra that I want to see is when they start dating and they have really, that's those years. I will point out what I noticed that Cynthia said that they were getting a little bit close, I guess, in season 5. I completely forgot that Apollo and Peter had a scuff up, but they don't end up years later. They're very friendly. But in this episode, Cynthia says something that stood out to me. She's like, it's been easier to get to know Apollo than Phaedra. Phaedra has been a enigma for a long time, and I don't know if that's a Scorpio thing, but I've been around a lot of Scorpios, and that's not, I mean, I think they're probably a little harder to get to know, but some might say that about Tauruses too. But once you get to know us, you know, the other thing about watching season 6, seeing Kandi and Phaedra be so close, like they were close. I know people will say it was just an alliance. It's just, you know, no one's ever really close on reality television. No. Kandi and Phaedra were close. They were best friends. It's kind of, I hate to see friendships end, but look, I don't blame Kandi for being mad at Phaedra for what went down and what was said. But it's so crazy. It's so sad. But okay. Anyway, so Phaedra goes off to Alabama, all right, because, you know, she's doing the whole washing of the money. I mean, who said that? She's learning to be, she went to mortuary school, okay? So we get to see a scene with her and the other students, and they're talking about all the mortuary science and things like that. Fine, okay? And this is where she's like, I have jobs. I have a lot of things going on, okay? I'm like, okay. So this is also while she's away, Apollo goes to get advice from Peter. And Peter's just like, what you shouldn't have said is that, oh, I could have slept with Kenya. What you should have said is, I don't want to sleep with her. I have your side always. And that's how it should have been. That was Peter's advice to Apollo. Like, you should, if your wife doesn't like this woman anymore, you automatically don't like this woman anymore. Do you guys agree with that? As a loyal Taurus, I agree with that. I mean, at home, if I feel like you were wrong, I'm going to tell you. But when we're out here in these streets, especially on camera, I have your back 100. What's Apollo's sign? I'm sure I've asked this before. Oh, he's a Scorpio too, right? This is what we talked about last week. Oh. He's a Scorpio too, right? Am I getting that wrong, Apollo Nida? Do I Google it, schmoogle it? Let me see. Guys, as I'm doing that, don't forget to like the video. We are talking about, we're doing our rewind, rewatch, recap with Kempire, me, of Real Housewives of Atlanta season 6. Next show that we will be recapping will be Real Housewives of New York. You guys will be able to choose the season that we start with there. It probably would be Scary Island, but I don't want to assume. What season was Scary Island? You guys will let me know. It's like Keisha says, yeah, you better have, I agree, you better have my back. Yeah, at least in public. At least when it comes to when these cameras are up or when we are with these other women, you better have my back. When was his birthday? I don't see his birthday. Was he a Scorpio? I didn't see what you guys said. Dark and Lovely said, beautiful picture and beautiful hair, Dark and Lovely. And thank you if you remember. Dark and Lovely says, yep, I agree with what Peter told Apollo. Yeah, but there's something very fishy about the relationship between Apollo and Phaedra. Again, I'm not going to go to what Angela Stanton said. It didn't feel like a relationship based on love. And a lot of you speculated that the relationship really was, she ended up getting pregnant and that's why they got married. I don't know if I even felt like there was an actual attraction. So I don't know. November 19th. Oh, so he's like my dad. My dad's like November 17th. So you can see the difference between Scorpio energy, male and female energy. You see the difference? They're very different personalities, but alike in different ways. Oh, Shonda says, of course, Apollo is a Scorpio ho. A Scorpio ho. I can't pronounce it. He's probably a problematic water sign. He is. Oh, Blair says, yes, Apollo is a true Scorpio. I agree. Queendom, I think we've said this in the past. We're going to say it again today. Queendom says, Kandi is a terrible judge of character to me, but I love her and Kenya's friendship. I just saw an article where they said that Kandi wrote a character letter for Todd Chrisley. Kandi has a pattern of having terrible judgment. I'll just say that. Okay. Hey Keith. Keith, thank you for being a member. Keith says the red flags with Apollo, Phaedra, and Peter and Cynthia was so prevalent this season. Yeah, I think when hindsight is 2020. Rewatching season 6, 2020. All right, because Apollo's not even relevant enough for me to find his birthday. But he was born in 1978. It won't give me anything else. All right. Let me go back here to my notes. So we have Apollo seeking advice from Peter. Okay. Phaedra's in Alabama. She's with her group. Okay. Okay. Cynthia and Noel. That's Cynthia's storyline in season 6, is that Noel wants to start dating. We even get to meet Arthur. When Cynthia tells Nene about this, because Nene was just like, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. I haven't raised a kid. I don't know. I just remember being 13, and I remember my siblings being 13, like more specifically my sister being 13, and she was talking to boys and things like that. She couldn't talk to boys with my mother knowing. Now may she rest in peace. I'm telling her secrets, but she was dating boys. She wasn't having sex though. We were close. I would have known. She wasn't having sex though, but she was talking to boys. So I don't think that's unnatural. Noelle felt comfortable enough telling Cynthia. Cynthia seeks guidance from Nene. This is started the foreshadowing of what's going to happen during the Savannah trip. We won't get into that this week. We'll get into that in next week's episode. I almost watched it, but I was like, nope. This is a good place to end that little conversation where everybody was on Monica. How old was Monica? Remember Monica? She was Nene's friend. And she was married to Chuck, who had dated Kandi and maybe got the head doctor work from Phaedra. Remember, that's where the head doctor came. Nene was producing this season. Nene was a puppeteer in season 6. I was paying. She went from coming back from the new normal being canceled and Glee being put on pause, and she was like, I'm gonna manipulate. Yeah, Monique with a Y. But they pronounce it Monique. Monique with a Y. How old was she? Because she talking about looking older. Okay, this was Phaedra's 3rd season, because Phaedra came in season 3, right? Her and Cynthia. I will say this being her 2nd or 3rd season, she was still giving very old maid. Okay, she was giving very much old maid. Mind you, halfway through season 16, we saw Angela upping her look in her game. By her reunion, she was looking good. I will say Phaedra looked great in her confessionals, but she still looked older. Just saying. All right. I think a lot of you want me to do a rewatch of OC. Maybe we will. Peyton says, "Hey Kempire, can I recommend you doing season 9 of RHOC the best?" Look, is that where they have the Naked Girl Wasted season? Is that season? You guys will let me know. Singer says her husband wasn't cute either. I don't think Chuck was bad looking. Come on. She said her husband wasn't all that cute either, and he dated Kandi and Faye. That's the season where Kenya named Phaedra Phony Faye. So many monumental moments within these episodes. 5, it was probably episode 8 or 7 where she says that. Okay. Phony Faye's mom was already mom of 2 already by then. Well, yeah, but still, she was giving. Anyway. Anita says she was giving old maid. Yeah. That's why I think a lot of us were so shocked at what she's turned into, like on social media, and then now to go from that to this, it's like, okay. But all right, whatever. Oh, that's season 4 of RHOC? Oh my gosh. Thanks, Blunt, with the BC. Blunt with the BC. Nice teeth, Blunt with the BC. All right, because we have 3 episodes to go through, so we're not going through every single moment, because in episode 5, at the end of episode 5, okay, well, before we get to the end of episode 5, let me just highlight some of the things that happened with the other characters. Oh no, it was mainly, because this episode was called, what was this called? Something for your mama. Save the drama for your mama. Yeah, save the drama for your mama is what this episode 5 was called. All right. So at the end of this episode, this is where Kandi and Todd sit down for a dinner with Mama Joyce. Throughout this episode, though, this is looming. Carmen is complaining to Kandi because Kandi brings up how her mom is saying that the streets are saying that something's going on between Carmen and Todd, because Carmen at the time is working for Kandi as her assistant, so she's always at the house. Mind you, Mama Joyce grew up with Carmen too, and apparently loved Carmen, I guess, until Carmen started working at the house. And now all of a sudden hates Carmen and spreading this rumor that Carmen and Todd have something going on. I will say this though, and I don't know how we felt back when this aired. Watching the episode, if I didn't know Mama Joyce to be Mama Joyce, part of me would have felt it, because I just felt like they weren't very clear with, like, I'm not interested in Todd. And then I'm looking at Carmen. Carmen was cute. Carmen's still cute. And I was like, I mean, I could see it. I'm just saying, when you go back and you watch it, you're like, I'm not 100% convinced that nothing's going on, but Mama Joyce is a problem. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, how many years later, nothing has ever come out. But when you watch these old seasons, you're like, is something going on? I mean, you are at the house all the time, but she's working for Kandi, and she's been best friends with Kandi since they were kids. All right. All right. Monique was born in 1978, so she's the same age as Apollo. Oh, okay. Look. Oh, right, Queendom? I agree. Queendom speaking my mind today. Oh, hey, Miss Esquire. I just put up your comment by accident. I felt like I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays. Hold on. Let me save your comment, because I want to come back to it. I was trying to highlight Queendom's comment. Queendom says, me and Kandi would have fell out behind her mama threatening to drag me down the street. Kandi is lucky Carmen stayed around, and she's lucky that Todd stayed around. Todd really had no reason to stay around besides him loving Kandi, of course. But if your mama was talking about me like this so recklessly on television and in these streets, and the old LG ladies, they weren't any better, because you saw what happened at the wedding dress shop. They weren't helping the situation. Mama Joyce was off of it. Okay, she was just out of here. And they were making excuses, defending. Nora was making stuff up. Carmen didn't say anything. Carmen didn't do anything. Carmen was defending herself. She's like, why are you spreading these lies about me? Okay, we'll get there. Okay. Ooh, Coco says, I'm telling you, this is why I stay hush when people say Kandi is amazing. Well, look, let's not say that Kandi doesn't have... You can still be amazing. Like, we can't take away from what Kandi's achieved in her life and her career and what she's done with the show and catapulted other things. We're not going to take that away from Kandi, okay? However, we're also not going to say that this is why we got to be team us. You know, some people are so team that, you know, a person that they can't see when someone's wrong. That's not our community. We can be like, well, no, Kandi does have some shaky ways when it comes to her judgment of people. All right? Especially her mama. We made excuses, though, for her mama. All right, let me just say Ms. Esquire's comment. She says, Carmen is cute, but I never saw that. Mama Joyce just wanted Kandi all to herself. I agree, but I have to say, looking back, watching it now, I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like you said that hard enough for me, Carmen. Like, you're not interested in him. But, I could just be reading into things. Miss Esquire has been a member for 43 months. Everyone say happy anniversary. 43 months, that's a long time. Imagine you've known a woman since you were a girl, looked at her like an auntie, maybe even like a second mom, and that lady accused you of being a harlot and trying to physically attack you. Tragic. I wonder if they ever got over it. I wonder if they ever, I don't know if there's ever been a conversation or if they ever talk about it in later seasons, or if Kandi's ever mentioned it in interviews, or Carmen has mentioned it in other interviews. I'm trying to understand if they ever got back to being the same. Carmen is still Kandi's best friend. Carmen is still in Kandi's life. Carmen was just up here during the, when Othello was on Broadway. Carmen was up here celebrating. And what's his face? I forgot her friend. He was also at the wedding shop. He was just up here celebrating. Like, Kandi has long-term friendships. All right. So, and they're still around. I don't know if she's just not around Mama Joyce. I personally couldn't be. After you said that about me, not just in general, but to say that about me on television. Oh, thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Thank you, Ro. Ro says Kwame. Kwame's still around. Kwame was just up here celebrating another win for Kandi. Anyway, so they sit down and they have this dinner. Okay. Mama Joyce walks in and she's just like, I still don't see any of my pictures around here. And exactly how she done. I still don't see any of my pictures around here. Because she had gotten some pictures from her mama and they were still working on putting some of the things up. Don Juan is still around. Don Juan has been around since forever too. And now he's recapping Real Housewives. Now he's a blogger too. wait, the Candy Factory not paying? What's going on? I'll play a Don Juan. Anyway, so she's walking around their house. Because remember, this is when she already bought the two houses. And so she's already living there. She's living there with Todd. All right. So Mama Joyce is walking around the house like, I don't see any pictures of me around here. And Todd is trying to be polite and have a conversation with her. And she's being so rude to him. So they sit down. They're having a conversation. So Todd is really being respectful. I have to give it to Todd. He was being very respectful. He was trying to make some headway with her. And she was not hearing it. She was just like, oh, people telling me things about you. And, Kandi would normally want, a $30,000 to $40,000 ring, but she know how you are. She know how you are. And Kandi just sitting there mute. Kandi's sitting there mute, y'all. I'm getting mad for Todd. Because Kandi's sitting there, you told your mother that you wanted that ring. You got emotional and said that this is the ring that I wanted. This was your opportunity to stand up to your mom like, Mom, this was the ring that I wanted. I did not want a $30,000, $40,000 ring. In that moment, based on an edit, in that moment, it made me wonder, did you really want the $30,000, $40,000 ring? And Todd couldn't pay for it. Todd was just coming back from some sort of job that he did. I don't know if this is when he was producing Hollywood Divas or something like that. All right. Jay Pooh said, you really sound like Mama Joyce. These last couple episodes has been a lot of it. Yeah, exactly. Miss Melon Mac, Kandi was sitting there doing the mute challenge before the mute challenge was even a thing. So she brings up the ring and he's just like, huh? All right. Yeah, a lot of people didn't. But, Kandi want to watch what happens. I've cried about it too. Ain't nobody going to talk about my mama. I'm like, oh, Lord. I couldn't stand how Kandi allowed for her mother to be toxic. She's probably just used to it. Mr. Mountain back, Hollywood D. I think that's what he was coming back from, but they couldn't, of course, mention it on Bravo because it was on TV1, right? Hollywood Divas. But he was working. He's worked. I have to say, the relationship between Kandi and Todd, I think a lot of us, right now we're all sort of like, oh, no, Team Todd. But I think even back then, we didn't know Todd. We were like, oh, he was the guy from behind the scenes. He was just doing the accounting, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Kaboom says, Tauruses can be practical, though. Yeah, but we do like nice things. We can be practical. But if somebody else is spending the money, I could see us wanting a bigger ring. But at this particular point, he could have gotten her a bigger ring. They've made so much money together. They've never upgraded that ring. Right? I think she's still rocking the same ring. So I think on some level, we can be practical and we like nice things. But if there's something that we like, it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest thing. It doesn't have to be the most expensive thing. We might just like something because it's really beautiful. And maybe it happens to be, $7,500 as opposed to the $40,000 ring. We also don't want anything big and gaudy either. But I was mad at Kandi. Kandi didn't step up and say something then in that moment. So they are having the conversation, and Mama Joyce is not hearing it. Mama Joyce does not have a solid answer or proof about anything. Okay, so she says, "I want to know, that you and Kandi been married for like 2 years. Are you going to be, if you sign in the prenup, and the prenup says that to the life you come accustomed to, are you going to sign it?" Todd is like, I'm not gonna say it. Because remember, Todd deals with stuff like this, so in paperwork and whatnot. So he's like, I'm not gonna say what I'm not gonna sign. He didn't say he wasn't gonna sign a prenup though. She later tells Phaedra that when she meets with Phaedra, and she's mad at Phaedra for hooking them up. Two short, big-headed people. That's what she said. I'm not saying that. That's what she said to Phaedra in episode like 7 or something like that. Coco says the voice is giving elderly Phaedra. I mean, she's an older woman from Atlanta, so you're right. That's what Mama Joyce was given. Okay. Shonda says Mama Joyce was worried about her own bag, but Mama Joyce has never needed for anything, even when Todd was around. She probably was worried about the future, which I can understand, but Phaedra gives her the advice. She's like, well, I'm sure Kandi has a will, and the will trumps a marriage. If there's no will, then the state of Georgia would be like, well, no, the marriage. So Kandi took care of her mom, probably still has that taken care of, probably has updated. I mean, I'm sure she's updated her will because now she has 2 new kids with Todd. All right. Mr. Melvin back, 2 short people with big heads. Why would you set people up like that? You didn't even go for someone like that. And Phaedra was like, like, oh man. Anyway, so then she brings that up. He says, I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna sign, or what I'm not signing. Okay. So Kandi brings out while she's in the kitchen getting the dessert. All right. She's getting the dessert. She then says, I'm gonna be on your ass. Ain't no ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no ocean deep enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from coming to you, to keep me off your ass. I was like, I mean, look, you can't say that this wasn't a monumental, funny moment. It couldn't be our lives, right? This couldn't be our lives, okay? Oh, right, exactly. And I couldn't remember everything she said. Ain't no desert dry enough to keep me off your ass. Lies, the lie. This is why I said when y'all say that Kandi, yes, Kandi herself maybe was dry a lot of the time, okay? But she had so many characters, cast of characters around her. Like we had the old lady gang. Like you can't take away from like everyone that came along with her. All right. Miss Esquire says, please add that to the soundboard. Ain't no river wide enough. Okay. Yes. Aziza says, I did my homework. She says, I am here. I did my homework, so I am ready for episodes 5 through 8. Mama Joyce and Nene are starting to get mean. You're seeing it, but you know what? I will say season 6 reminds me why this is when we start to see the change in Nene, but Nene was still so funny, still so much fun. I was just like, oh, this was the Nene that we knew and loved, but this was also where Nene was starting to change. Nene was definitely starting to change in season 6. Okay, didn't they put her on pause? Well, technically, but she came back as a friend of, what was it, season 8? So you see, this is a precursor. This is a marker for us. Oh, thank you, thank you, Mr. Mellman. Ain't no ocean deep enough. Ain't no valley low enough. No desert dry enough to keep me off your ass, baby. and yes, and Nene kept on saying she doesn't want Nene to come out in season 6. All right. Oh, wait, Coco says season 7, Nene is elite. Now you're going to make me want to, we're not going to watch them all in line. We're not, okay? Right, I am Funky says Kempire is having a time with this. Season 6 is top tier. I remember the moments, but I didn't remember it was season 6. It's so good. It's so good. So if you're new here and you haven't been watching with us, rewatch with us. We're watching it. Peacock hasn't given us a discount code, but you know, look, I tried. I was looking for one, but nope. Sorry, y'all. Dina says, let's work on that Southern accent. No. It's not that deep. We're having fun. Stop being so serious. Calm down. Anastasia, Miss Parker, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. She says, Kandi doesn't know how to implement boundaries with her mother. People mistake boundaries with disrespect, and there is a huge difference. Period. We knew, I think we all knew that back then. Miss Esquire, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. She says, my contribution to add to the soundboard. Uh-oh. Here y'all go. Miss Esquire, you should have came to the Atlanta show. We played the extended version of your song. Okay? Hold on one second. There's a continue without. Oh, there was some issue on Facebook. They were trying to end this broadcast. Sorry, y'all. But no, I fixed it. Something with Facebook. It's okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for the super chat. So they had that conversation. Mama Joyce still can't see it for Todd, but they do agree that maybe they could possibly move forward. Thank you, Carly. Carly says, I'm from Bama. You done great. Thank you. Kaboom says, he's a northerner. What do you expect? And I'm also Jamaican. And plus, we're doing this for fun. Calm down. Calm down. It ain't that deep. All right. If I was doing this for, let's say, a show, a scripted show, then we could be like, okay. Remember, we were talking about this one with Harlem. We were talking about the Jamaican accent that what's her name? Whitley Gilbert, the actress that played Whitley Gilbert. We were like, that Jamaican accent is terrible. If we're doing a portrayal, that's one thing. But we're doing this for kikis and fun. Calm down. It's not that deep. Anyway, so that we have that in episode 5. Let's move on to episode 6, okay? If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and on Twitter. Hey, Twitter fam. I see you, Twitter fam. Ma Bedla on TikTok is watching from South Africa. Love from South Africa. She says season 6 is literally my fave. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to everyone watching on X. 140 of you watching on X. We see you guys. Jasmine Guy. Why can't I think of Jasmine Guy's name? Sorry about that, Jasmine Guy. I couldn't think of her name for a second. All right. Let me. Oh, damn. Queen Shamama says, oh, so she can't pick a good man either? Ooh, damn. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to episode 6. So Phaedra and Apollo continue to have their issues in this episode, all right? She returns from Alabama. She's still upset with Apollo, all right? For his reluctance to admit his fault in being inappropriate with Kenya, all right? Kenya is still dancing around. She's moved into this new place. She finally calls Nene to tell her, I moved into a new place. We see Miss Lawrence for not the first time, because I'm sure we saw Miss Lawrence before this, but for the first time in season 6. And Miss Lawrence is helping her unload her stuff, okay? And she's dancing around the house. She's like twerking on the did it. And I'm like, oh, there's one screw loose for Kandi. Not Kandi, for Kenya. I'm like, oh, there was a screw loose for Kenya. I think this is what Kenya thought that she should be doing. From, just maybe from the fandom. I was just like, Kenya, are you all right? You all right? Janelle says, why is it the moment I tune into this live, Kempire is living his best life doing a Mama Joyce impersonation? I love it. I'm from the South, so I accept your accent. Thank you. Y'all know when I get into my Phaedra accent, I really get into my bag. All right, moving on. Let's move on. So Kenya, they talk. Oh, this is where we talk about with Aunt Lori. Remember we were talking about Aunt Lori last week? All right. So Aunt Lori is in this episode with Kenya. And you see Aunt Lori is always protecting Kenya's mom. That's her sister. So she's always protecting Kenya's mom, because even when because she's talking about Kenya's dating and things like that, and Kenya wants to have a baby, and she's like, are you going to, I know you prioritize getting married and having a kid, and she's like, maybe you need to prioritize having the kid. All right. So, Kenya brings up the fact that maybe some of her issues stems from her issues with her mom. And as we already know, but they talk about this in season 6, Kenya's mom has never had anything to do with her. Is this the season when Kenya goes up to the door? You guys will let me know. I don't remember what season that was. Is this the season, or did it happen the previous season? I think it was this season, or maybe the following seasons. Anyway. See, but you see it. You really see it. Singer says, yeah, Kenya was cuckoo for sure back then. But I feel like she was being performative. I don't know if I do think Kenya has a little bit of a thing, but I definitely think back then a lot of the exaggeration, a lot of the twerking and the singing, she kept on singing and dancing. Oh, it's not? Thank you guys. So what season is it? Oh, that's season 8. Rose says that's season 8. Oh, so that's when she goes. Well, this is where Kenya has a conversation with Aunt Lori about it. And you see Lori's face, right? Aunt Lori's face says a lot. Aunt Lori's face is sort of like, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about this. Okay. Let me see. Sierra says after that happens, we won't see Aunt Lori again. Oh, after the door thing, right? Oh, is that what happened? And we didn't see Aunt Lori after that? Oh, Roger Bob says Aunt Lori and Kenya fell out when Aunt Lori told her not to bother her mama. And everyone was mad at Aunt Lori. Like, how could you support your sister in not acknowledging her daughter? You know what I mean? I completely forgot. Yeah. So season 8, that's when Kenya does that. But I can also understand why Aunt Lori might be upset because now you're doing things for television, which in the early years, I could see Kenya doing a lot of stuff for television, including that relationship we saw in season 5. She was doing it from then, and that's probably why Nene never really saw it for her. However, in season 6, you do see like a nice friendship happening between Kenya and Nene. I'm sure it doesn't last. So then there's that. All right. So we have that conversation with Kenya and Aunt Lori. So this is where, mind you, it's so interesting that Kenya was talking about having kids in season 6, and she doesn't end up having kids for how many years later? Guava Berry says, I knew you were Jamaican. I have a friend that looks like you, and he's Jamaican. What you trying to say? Roger says it fell apart by Pillow Talk. Oh, yeah, you're right, because this is the season of Pillow Talk. But it's kind of nice seeing them in the early part of the season, not be besties, but they're getting along. They're getting along. Roger Bob says, yeah, 5 years later, she ends up having a kid. Something tells me her mom may have had an addiction. We never really got to that. I think if she had an addiction, Kenya would have told us. Don't you think? Right? I don't know. All right. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's easy and it's free. We're talking about the episodes 5 through 8 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. All right. Leah, if you're having any, if you can hear this, Leah, if you're having any issues, swipe out of the app and then come back in. Okay. Mina says in season 5, Nene was also telling Kenya to look for a restaurant owner. Oh, wait a minute. She did. She did. Okemia says Kenya knew she wasn't going to come to the door. Blunt with Beezy says they were very entertaining together, Kenya and Nene. They were. Like, you look at the Savannah trip, I'm like, oh, I kind of like seeing them have a good time together. All right, let me move on. Let's get to this other stuff. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. We're already at 235 likes. Thank you, guys. But we have over 600 of you here for our rewind, rewatch, recap with myself. Something that we're doing, we're rewatching some of your favorite reality television shows from yesteryear. This season, we're doing season 6 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Right now, we're on episodes 5 through 8. All right, so Cynthia and Leon, they have this, I have to say, I watched this yesterday, but then I did a little bit of a rewatch this morning. I fast forwarded through the Leon. It was nice seeing Leon. You know, Leon, Cynthia's ex-boyfriend, who also the father of her daughter, Noelle. So they're talking about Arthur and Arthur coming through. Oh, what I didn't talk about was when Arthur came over. First, that's such an interesting name, but Leon likes the name Arthur. Okay, maybe because he thinks Arthur is going to be a little nerdy. Arthur was a cute little. I wonder what Arthur looks like today, because he was a handsome little young man back then. I wonder where he is today, Arthur. Anyway, so when Peter met Arthur, he was like, "Hi, Peter," and Peter was like, "Peter." I was a little taken aback. Like, sir, like this man's way older than you. Well, who are you calling Peter? All right. So we had that scene, I guess it was in episode 5, where Arthur comes over and meets Peter and things like that. Well, in episode 6, Leon talks with Noelle about dating. I have to say I fast forwarded it the second time I watched it. I was like, I don't need to see this. Okay, it was cute. You know, they're talking about Arthur. He wants to be the one to have the conversation with her about the birds and the bees. And of course they do, you know, they're like, about her having a boyfriend, but having sex is a no-no. They do not want her having sex at all. But Cynthia thinks that she should be the one to have the conversation with her about the birds and the bees. Okay. Singer says Peter scares Arthur. I would have been scared too. Anyone else? All right. Shut up. Dina says Arthur now goes by A-Dog. What's he doing? He's a rapper? Just saying. Is a rapper? Hold on. Foxy says some of us in the chat can't hear or see Kempire. Must be some kind of glitch. Who can see and hear me? Let me know. Just saying. Oh, wait a second. Blunt says that Leon foreshadows Noelle being queer. Is she still queer? Because I know she had that moment where she was going through being fluid. Okay, Asset says Twitch is fine. Thanks, Assets. Okay. So it might be the YouTube app. I've seen that happen. Okay. Dental says that we can see you on Twitch. So, all right. I was just making sure because I was having internet issues last week. Not when I was live, but yeah. Okay, so it must be YouTube, guys. It must be YouTube. Swipe out of the app and then come back on in. Vicky says Twitch is fine. Okay. Yeah, guys, if you're having an issue, go to maybe like the Twitch app. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheKempire. Mods, if we can post that in the chat. All right. Okay, NYC DMP says it's okay for her. All right, Kirsten. Hey, Kirsten. Beautiful photo, Kirsten. Kirsten says I can see and hear you. Yeah. Or just go over to Twitch if you're having an issue with YouTube. All right. Quisha Mama says, yeah, I can hear and see you just fine on YouTube. It might be the YouTube app. It's been doing that for the last couple of months. I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah. All right. All right, guys, let's move on in episode 6. So Cynthia and Leon have that talk with Noelle, Kandi, Todd, and Mama Joyce. All right. So on the home front, whispers of wedding planning surface, but Candy's business partner, Don Juan, seems suspicious of Todd's intentions. This adds pressure to an already fraught mother-daughter-in-law relationship. So that's a big thing that plays out in season 6 is Mama Joyce and Todd. I have to say it's my favorite part. It's my favorite part. The last few episodes, 5 through 8, were my favorite part of the season. All right. Okay, let me say. Meanwhile, Nene is... Oh, so this is where Nene is planning the trip to Savannah, and she wants to invite everyone. We haven't talked about Porsha. We got to talk about Porsha because I had some questions about Porsha. And I posted, I post my questions on X, all right? Singer says I can't stand Don Juan. Come on. So I posted this question because we do see, and I don't remember what episode it was in. It might have been episode 6 or 7 or maybe even 8. No, it was episode maybe 7. But we see Porsha. They all meet up because they do this event at Candy's Candy Factory. And it's like a little sweating and dancing event. All right. Oh, Okiba says, this T-Mobile YouTube user is coming through just fine. Guys, the lie. It's okay. All right. Okay. Y'all, if you were here for our Real Housewives of Miami recaps last week, you know why we were talking about T-Mobile. All right. Mama Allie says I'm folding laundry on both platforms too. Thank you. All right. No, so they had this event at the Candy Factory, which everyone was late for. It's important to note. And then all the ladies come. I will say there were some problematic things that Kenya said, both about Kandi and Phaedra in these last couple of episodes of Real Housewives of Atlanta, talking about their weight, talking about how much they like to eat kind of thing. Kenya made a few comments. She was talking about FedExing her booty video to Phaedra. Mind you, Phaedra had just given birth. So they're all dancing and doing things like that. Kenya's being extra, dancing and twirling and doing all this stuff, okay? So we had that moment. Um, Nene mentions that she's planning this trip to Savannah and she's inviting all the ladies, but Porsha ends up not coming because Porsha fainted at home. Okay. I'm just speculating. I don't know. And it might be because now we know who Porsha is, right? Allie says Kempire needs a cellular commercial now, right? Not for T-Mobile, though. Verizon, let me know. Exactly, Roger Bob. Kenya body shamed a lot when Faye just gave birth. And I remember people pointing that out. You know, the Bravo historians, they always remember every single thing. But this was the episode where Kenya did it, when they were at the candy factory trying to work out. That's also where we met Cynthia's friend, who we will see later on at the Pillow Talk. I forgot her name. You guys would probably remember her name. She was also a part of this event. But yeah. Well, this is true. Keith says, well, to be fair, Phaedra was calling Kenya Moore whore. She had done it within this season from episode 1 to 8. She must have called her Kenya Moore whore multiple times. Natalie, thank you guys. You guys remember everything. So you guys are going to help me with the cliff notes, okay? Natalie is the Cynthia's friend who she brought to this event, who we will see at Pillow Talk, who was a part of the mess too, okay? Oh, Keith says T-Mobile is preparing that cease and desist as we speak. If you're coming to the Washington, D.C. show, you should come. You should come to the Washington, D.C. show. Guys, don't forget, the Kempire After Dark live experience is coming to Washington, D.C. this Friday. Who's got their ticket? Who's coming? The villain era is in full effect. We're coming to Washington, D.C. for like is this our 4th show? Our 3rd show in Washington, D.C.? I can't remember. So we're coming to Washington, D.C. for a night of hot topics. We'll be talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta, Miami, OC, and of course, the hot topics as well. If you haven't already, get your tickets today. And then, of course, New York City on September 12th. Go get your tickets for that. The New York City show, though, has a live stream option. So if you haven't already, go get your tickets for that. That way, anyone from around the world can be a part of that show. All right. Asset says, I have a live stream ticket. Amazing. Jessica says, I'm going to be at the DC. I have my ticket. Love it. And don't be afraid to come on your own, people. Keep telling you guys, don't be afraid to come on your own. So many people come to our show with themselves and they make friends. And some of those friends they're coming with or meeting at this show that they met at the last show. Go get your tickets today for the Kempire After Dark live experience. It's my 3rd show. Thanks, Danielle. I think it's my 4th show in New York. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, the link is pinned in the chat on YouTube, y'all. All right. Let me take a sip. I've been drinking a lot, and I did say I need to take a potty break, but I'll take it when we get to episode 7. Okay. So Kenya has moved out into this new place. Whatever. Let's move on. Okay. Okay. Is this where I just want to make sure? I think it's episode 7. Yes. Oh, it's okay. Before we get to episode 7, we got to talk about what happens at the wedding shop. So Kandi, for me, episodes 5 through 8 was heavy on Kandi because the wedding shop was a big moment in history when it comes to Real Housewives of Atlanta, because Carmen and Kwame were with Kandi when they go to the wedding shop, but the old lady gang, Aunt Nora, Aunt Bertha, and Mama Joyce all show up. And Mama Joyce wants to throw a shoe at Carmen. Carmen wasn't sitting there like a punk, though, because Carmen was like, what are you trying to say? What are you insinuating? Because she was talking about Todd. She's like, oh, you know Todd very well, don't you? You know Todd very well. And she's like, what are you trying to insinuate? So she starts getting up like she wants to fight Carmen. And Carmen's like, I'm not going to be quiet. Aunt Nora's like, won't you shut up? Why don't you shut up? Capricorn KJ says, I have my DC ticket. Can't wait. See you soon, Capricorn. See you on Friday. So she's like, what? Aunt Nora, I felt Aunt Nora was in a dangerous spot because I thought Aunt Nora might hit Carmen too. But Kwame's trying to hold Mama Joyce back. I don't know. Rewatching it, I'm like, was this for theatrics or was she really gonna fight? Because part of me wanted Kwame to just let it go. Let's see what she's gonna do. Because she had a shoe, but she had that shoe in the air for so long. She had the shoe in the air for so long. I was like, you could have threw that shoe. Not to say that we were condoning violence. We're not. But what I'm saying is that you had that shoe in the air for so long, you could have easily threw the shoe. That blue shoe. She wore that same blue shoe to Phaedra's office. Okay. Queendom says, I'm sorry, Kandi would have been just mad. I might have would have had to get on Mama Joyce. I think she knows her friend and that she was not going to even go there. But she wasn't being quiet either. Hold on. Danielle says, I have a good girlfriend who dated Todd back in the day. Was his name Marvin then? Angel says that Aunt Nora is a Gemini, so she crazy too. What's on Bertha? That's what I want to know. What's on Bertha? Wait, hold on. What is this mantra? Listen, I have a mantra. When I can't explain, is it not the Booger Sugars? This Esquire, Lord have mercy. Okay, they were securing their future. Todd is an interference. I feel like it hasn't hurt them at all. But the wedding shop scene, Kandi comes out when she hears the ruckus. She's like, what's going on? What's going on? And Aunt Nora spun what happened. Did y'all notice how Aunt Nora lied? She lied. She's like, oh, she's sitting here saying stuff. And I don't know why she don't just be quiet. I was like, oh, no, Nora part of the problem. So when Carmen steps out and Kandi comes out, she tries on another dress. Because first of all, Kandi was like, I'm done. I'm not going to try any more dresses. Let's go. And they're like, oh, no, try on another dress. So she tries on another dress to make them happy, the OLG ladies, okay? Old lady gang, okay? So she tries on another dress. And Aunt Bertha's like, I don't like it. And then she basically says that she doesn't see Kandi getting married. First of all, Mama Joyce says she doesn't see Kandi getting married. And then Aunt Bertha's just like, I don't approve of this wedding either. And then Nora's like, me either. So everyone, they're all on the same page. The sisters are all on the same page. They had Mama Joyce's back. All right. Anastasia says that Aunt Nora is forgetting everything is on camera. Quiet T says Aunt Nora was really the messy one. Yeah. And that's what she said. Thank you so much, Roger. I couldn't remember what exactly she said. I don't want you to marry Aunt Bertha. And Nora's like, me either. What? Mama Ellie says, like, it's not recorded. Why lie? I will never get that. They don't care. Okay. Not Kandi's Family of Lies. Superstar 7 says Kandi's Family of Lies. Keith says Kandi believed Carmen instantly, and that itself showed who the OLG gangsters, the old lady gangsters, really are. She did believe her best friend. I think because she knows her mom. You know, she knows her mom. She knows her aunts. Flip says, I love Gemini women. Men are trash. All right. So I didn't want to forget that moment because in episode 7, that's when Kandi goes over to Cynthia's house. And if you watch the edit, you see Kandi's already crying. When she sits down with Cynthia, because Cynthia had her own family dramas with Peter, and she rehashes that, and she says, you know, Peter had a really hard time trusting me again because I was a part of all of that. And Kandi's you already see the tear in Kandi's eye, and then Kandi starts really bawling. She's just like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but my mama doesn't, everything's just going wrong. My mama doesn't like him, and I felt for Kandi though. Even rewatching it this many years later, I'm like tearing up a bit. I'm like, oh, this is so sad. But Kandi, this is your own fault. You have not put down boundaries. Like, I want to feel sorry for you, but at the same time, like, you're allowing your mother to be the problem. It's not like she has like a legitimate reason to not like Todd. There is no legitimate reason. She's speculating, but there's no legitimate reason. So We have that. Miss Esquire, thank you so much for the super chat. Miss Esquire says Kenya wanted kids for a while. That read by Phaedra did a number on her journey. She might have done motherhood by choice, and that read was deplorable and a sign of things to come from Phaedra. About going to the sperm bank. Oof. Like, oof. Keisha says Cynthia and Kandi both looked like they cried a lot this season. Did she cry a lot this season? I'm trying to remember. I guess we'll see. We're rehashing it. We're recapping it for the Rewind, Rewatch recap here on the Kempire channel. Guys, if you haven't already, subscribe. Be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications because sometimes we have breaking news. We don't just talk about Real Housewives here on the channel. We talk about everything in pop culture. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you turn on your notifications. And don't forget, everything Kempire will be available in the description, including more information on my skincare routine from Butter. You can get 10% off with our link. More information is available in the description, and merchandise like my hat. If you want merchandise like this, head on over to the description, houseofkempire.com. All right. So the Savannah trip, the ladies are gearing up for the Savannah trip. But before they even go on the Savannah trip, Kandi sits down with Cynthia to have this conversation. It's a very emotional conversation because Kandi just feels like she's stuck between Todd, who is saying to Kandi, you need to put your foot down. You need to set boundaries. And she's not. So she's already Todd is already putting the pressure on her. Carmen also gives Kandi an ultimatum, like, you need to set boundaries, because she said if it was me, I would have set those boundaries already. If this was my mama. She's like, your mama? You wouldn't talk to your mama? And she's like, yes, I would not be talking to my mama. And to be honest with you, me either, because your mama is not going to be keeping you warm at night. And luckily, Kandi's stuck beside Todd, because look what she would have missed out on. Todd has done nothing but great in Kandi's life, based on what we've seen from the exterior. I feel like he's elevated her business. I feel like he's elevated her family life. She has now this big family. She's got a stepdaughter. She's got a new dad that's involved in Riley's life, and now they have 2 kids together. Like, everything from the outside, and I say that because we don't know the day-to-day, but from the outside, everything seems to just get better in Kandi's life since being with Todd. They really complemented each other. Because some might say the same. I'm sure Mama Joyce will say the same thing. Because remember, what was it, season 14, 15, where she was like, oh, Kandi took lemons. Look, Kandi took lemons and made the lemonade. You know what I mean? So he didn't like that. So that reignited issues between them. Okay? So I say all that to say, what was season 10? Season 10 what, Roger Bob? All right, guys, we're almost at 300 likes. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. Easy, and it's free. We're talking about episode 7 of Real Housewives of Atlanta season 6. All right, so before, Kandi wanted to have that conversation with Cynthia because she wanted Cynthia's guidance before going on this Savannah trip. All right, but before they even go on the Savannah trip, I want to talk about Porsha's shopping spree, because I pointed this out in regards to, I was talking about this a little bit earlier, about Porsha. Porsha had passed out, remember? So there's something about Porsha, and maybe it's because we know what we know of Porsha now. And I'm sort of thinking to myself, Porsha passing out, was that real? Did you guys believe it was real back then? Because when Porsha talks about it, so there's a couple of things that stood out to me when it comes to Porsha, because Porsha's storyline is so oddly similar to season 16. You remember what happened in season 16? It's so weird, and I'm guessing this is what production wanted to do and just rehash. So she goes through this divorce. She goes to the same divorce attorney, okay? Then she goes looking at a property that she probably can't afford. I asked the question, I was like, I find it interesting in season 6, Porsha is shopping for $7,000 shoes, okay, and thousands of dollars shoes, and literally in that scene, Lauren talks about how, normally we would come and shop here, and then we would call Cordell and he would pay for it. Some people on social media were like, but didn't she come from money? No. She may have had a little bit of a coin, but that wasn't the narrative that we had of Porsha. It looked like she wanted to marry money, okay? But so there were a couple of things that happened in these last couple of episodes. So Porsha goes shopping for this apartment. Lauren was like, "You need to get out of your mama's house," and she's like, "I don't want to move." I felt like they were just doing this to have a scene, but it was so similar to season 16, where we also felt like they just wanted to have a scene showing Porsha shopping for this $1 million home. So you see that, and I was sort of like, okay, Porsha hasn't even finalized her divorce. So how is she going to pay for this apartment? And they make the excuse like, oh, her mom's like, I like having you at home with me. I don't think she could afford to move out at that particular point on her own, especially not that particular buying a condo. I mean, I know it's Atlanta, but still. Oh, damn. I'm not going to even repeat some of the comments you guys are saying, but if you're part of the replay crew, you can see the replay of the live chat and some of the shady things that they say. So we have that moment, but then we also have this moment with Lauren and Porsha at the drugstore, and they're talking about her passing out. But now I'm looking, and I'm like, wait, did you really pass out, or was that just an excuse? I don't know. I don't know what the excuse would have been. I don't remember what was happening at that particular point. I don't know if she wanted to use that as a way, because remember when they're in the drugstore, she says, oh, the doctor diagnosed me with something. I can't remember what it was, but you say it might be, she's talking to Nene because Nene calls her to check on her. And she's like, oh, it might be because of the stress of the divorce. And then I thought, oh, was this her ploy to get more out of the divorce? I don't know. She could have passed out. You know, anything is possible. But at the same time, I was sort of like, because you just never know with Porsha, because at the time we probably just thought, oh, she passed out, whatever. But now when we know Porsha to what we know of Porsha, we were like, no, homegirl was very strategic. Okay, so, but yeah. Oh, it's me, Kel, says, I hadn't put 2 and 2 together yet. You're right, Kemp. Porsha's weak storyline shaking my head. I don't know. I just feel like there are a lot of similarities to season 16. And there's just, I don't know if I look at everything with Porsha with the same eye that we did when we first watched season 6, how many years ago? Okay. Keisha says that she said that she had high blood pressure. Well, remember, Lauren was like, oh, you want to take your blood pressure while we're here? And she did the blood pressure thing. The blood pressure was pretty high, but it wasn't that high to be passing out. But maybe. I'm not a doctor. But she didn't say at the time that she had high blood pressure. She just said later on, after they did the blood pressure test at the pharmacy. Remember when they used to have that at the pharmacy? They don't have that anymore. I remember they used to have that at the CVS. You put your arm in the thing and it would go on your arm. They don't keep those in the CVS anymore. Why not? That probably could save lives. Why don't they do that anymore? I guess in the age of COVID, you don't want something like that. But okay. Why don't they do that anymore? Just say it. All right. Moving on from there. Let's talk about Mama Joyce visiting Phaedra at her law office. Aiden was such a cutie patootie when he was younger. And he was so and not just because he was cute physically, he had such a cute personality. Like everything that he would say and do was just so freaking adorable and funny. He did not want to say hello to Mama Joyce. And he's like, I'll say hello to Mama. Phaedra's like, say hello to Mama Joyce. Okay. Say hello to Mama Joyce. I'll give you a tree. I don't want no tree. Oh, damn. But Mama Joyce was giving like witchy energy. She's like, oh, you just plain to be shy. You not so shy. She was scaring me, right? She was scaring the hell out of me. I was like, it's just like, okay. So she asked Phaedra some questions. She's like, I need some legal advice. Okay. She's like, I need some legal advice because she mentions that Todd might not want to sign a prenup. And Phaedra's like, I have a prenup with Apollo. And she was just like, he doesn't want to sign the prenup. But that's not what Todd said. Todd said he did not want to say what he was going to sign from what he was not going to sign. Oh, Mama says that my CVS has it, the arm pressure thing. I mean, I haven't checked this. Well, I haven't been to that CVS in years. I don't even think it's a CVS anymore. I think it's a Rite Aid. But yeah, I remember them having that in there. But yeah. I mean, look, anyway. Singer says kids be knowing. Yeah. Sage says, Mama Joyce is creepy. I'd be scared too. The way she was looking at him and the way she sounds, I'd be a little scared too. All right. Ooh, Angel says, I was right. On birth is a Scorpio too. I knew it had to be November 17th. She's the same as my dad. November 17th. Wow. Savannah says, from the mouth of the babies, Aiden. Mm-hmm. Yes, kids and dogs be knowing. So she's bringing up her concerns about Todd and Todd taking all the money and things like that. And then she gets upset. Someone said, Keith says, Rite Aid's still open? I think so. I don't know about that particular Rite Aid, but I saw Rite Aid not too long ago. Where did I see that? Right, it's unimportant. We get on such digressions here. Let's focus. Oh, you're right. The Rite Aid that I went into the other day, they were selling everything off. They were like getting rid of everything. Damn. But anyway, not Scorpio's rise. All right. Okay, let me take. Hold on. When did she say this, Janelle? Porsha said that she had vagal syncope. In layman's terms, it's stress-induced fainting. I suffered from VS for 5 years, and I thought that Porsha was lying. VS is scary because people think you're having a... Ooh, Lord. When did she say that, though? Was it later on? Was it at the reunion she mentioned it? But I'm keeping my thoughts in because I'm going by what I'm feeling in the moment. Syncope. Thank you so much, Coco. I love when you guys break down the words for me for pronunciations. Damn, we get on such tangents. Miss T says they went out of business in California. All right, Rite Aid. I mean, I go to wherever the things are. If there's a Rite Aid nearby, I'm gonna go to that. I mean, I have a CVS nearby. CVS is like everywhere. Or Dwayne Reed. I don't think Dwayne Reed is everywhere though. I think Dwayne Reed is a New York thing. Y'all got Dwayne Reed in your location? Let me know. But anyway, let me focus. Can we focus, y'all? Blue Sky says that season 6 was tumultuous. Yeah. Ooh, they have everything at Walmart. Brittany says they have the blood pressure test at Walmart. Yeah, because I think it can save lives. Just saying. Okay. So she grills Phaedra about why did you set them up? And she's like, I think Todd is cute. She's like, I could choke you. Like, how do you just say that to somebody? That's a threat. And you're saying it to an attorney. And so why would you set up, yeah, he's cute and he's short and a big head. Kandi got she's short and then got a big head. Why would you set up two short people and big heads? Why would you do that? And she's like, that you didn't even do that for yourself. Oh Lord. Phaedra was just like, well, oh yes, because Dwayne Reed was bought by Walgreens. Yes, so that makes sense. But I wonder, before it was bought by Walgreens, was Dwayne Reed in other places? I mean, Coco says she's not lying about Todd's head, and now they got 2 babies together. My thing is, though, here's the thing. I wonder how Mama Joyce, because these kids could go back and watch season 6 and see what they said about their daddy. I know Mama Joyce don't care, but does Kandi care? Keisha says, Kempire, you need to have the tight, closed mouth when Mama Joyce is talking. No, what do you mean? Okay. It's Mikael says Mama Joyce was a mess. She really was. Oh, hold on a second. Westchester Latina says, my husband is related to Todd by marriage. I'm going to ask him if Mama Joyce was at Todd's mother's funeral. I don't think so. Why would she be there? I don't think she was at the funeral. Oh, Ace is 8. He probably seen some of it. I don't think so. He probably's not interested in watching any of that stuff. Oh, Black Star Rockstar, Janelle, says, typically anti-anxiety meds are the best treatment for VS. High blood pressure is usually not the cause. It's stress, and stress can manifest physically differently for each person. Did she say it later on in the season? Because in these episodes, she doesn't say the diagnosis. She said she couldn't remember what he referred to it as. So that might be what it is. All right, let's move on, y'all. Because as I said before, I'm going to take a little bit of a mini break. And as I take this mini break, I'm going to ask that you guys like the video. I just need to run to the restroom. Okay. I'll play our commercial for Butter. For those that didn't know, we are partnered with Butter. You can get 10% off with our discount code. I'll be right back. So I shared with you my morning skincare routine. Now I'm sharing my nighttime skincare routine, brought to you by our friends over at Butter. Over the last several weeks, we've partnered with Butter and I've been utilizing their skincare routine and I have been loving it. So let me share with you my nighttime skincare routine. It's very simple and it's made even simpler by our friends over at Butter. First, I start off with their cleanser. Wash your face with their cleanser. Then I use their silky soft towel, which I love. I love. They're disposable. They are quality. You shouldn't be using the same towel that you use to dry your body on your face. And then I'm using their retinol. People don't understand the benefits of retinol. Smaller pores, youthful skin. A lot of people don't even utilize this. You should. All you need next is their Cocoa Shea Moisturizer. As I've said before, they've made my routine a lot simpler because I've had to use a different morning moisturizer versus what I use at night. With their Cocoa Shea Moisturizer, I can utilize it for my morning and my evening. I just put a little bit less on in the morning. At night, I put a little bit more. And that's it for my nighttime routine. One of the other big questions that people have asked me, is there a scent in the moisturizer? Very light scent. The other question people have asked me, is Butter Black owned? Not only is it Black owned, their president is a Black woman. But of course, you also ask, can we get a discount? Of course, get 10% off when you use my link, butterskin.com/Kempire. More information on Butter will be available in the description. Thanks, Butter. And we're back. Guys, don't forget the Kempire After Dark live experience will be coming to Washington, D.C. this Friday. If you haven't gotten your tickets already, what are you waiting on? And then, of course, New York City, we will be there on September 12th. That show has a live stream option. It's the only show that has a live stream option. Ticket information on that will be available in the description as well. Hey, Raquel. Raquel says, Kemp just bought these silky face towels. They come today, so I'm excited to see how they work out for me. Oh my God, it's like my favorite thing. They sell out all the time because I think a lot of us love the silky soft towels from Butter. So if you haven't already, be sure to go get that as well. I'm feeling refreshed and renewed. Okay. Look how long I went though with at the top of this, I was ready to go to the restroom. Look how long I went without going to the restroom, and almost an hour and a half. Okay. All right. Oh, R. Willie says I have a Leo mom. Close enough. Ooh, I have no idea what that would be like. Okay. All right. So we're back. All right. So Mama Joyce has that conversation with Phaedra. Phaedra just sort of like doesn't know what to say. But yeah. Okay. So at the end of this episode is when the entire cast is gathering at Nene's golf course, clubhouse, before they take the drive to Savannah, Georgia, because this is going to be the big trip. She invites Monique, her friend, because we also had that separate scene with Nene going to Monique and Chuck's house. She's known Chuck for a long time. Chuck is from Athens as well. Chuck apparently dated Kandi. Chuck also he denied dating Phaedra though. So what do you think that was? Because this is where the whole head doctor rumors started because of Nene. Nene was producing in this moment, okay? You guys are funny in the chat. Mom bladder could never. My bladder could never. I was ready to go. I was like, I don't like to wait. So Nene's waiting around. Kenya's the second person to arrive. And so they introduce her to Monique and things like that. So Kenya was on time, but everyone else was late. Like Cynthia came what, an hour and a half late. Kandi came what, 3 hours late. Phaedra was the last person to arrive. Kenya was upset. At first, Nene was fine, but Kenya was sort of like riling Nene up, like, oh my goodness, why is everyone late? Blah, 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 blah. At one particular point, Nene ends up leaving. I think Nene went to go use the bathroom, but she wanted to be dramatic. She wanted to be dramatic, so she went back to her house across the street. Come across the street. Okay. So the once Phaedra and Kandi finally arrive, how many hours later, they're received by Kenya. Kenya's upset. She's like, "Oh, you guys are so late." This is Kenya. This has always been Kenya. You've seen this in later years of Kenya. She starts to take the lead on stuff that she doesn't need to take the lead on, or she likes to be bossy. But this is where you see, which is so funny, how Kandi and Kenya have come such a long way in their friendship, because they were not friends in the early seasons. Okay, because they get into it on the bus, because Nene eventually does come back. Okay. So they get on the bus to go for this 3-hour ride to Savannah, Georgia. Okay. So Kenya starts, she's still going. She's still talking about everyone being late. You guys are so late. You shouldn't be doing stuff like this. Blah, 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 blah. So Candy's like, I'm not trying to hear you. You need to sit down. So it gets real crunk. This is red hair Kandi. Remember red hair Kandi as well, pillow talk. But she's also dealing with a lot of stuff when it comes to her relationship with Todd and the family stuff and blah, blah, blah. So Kandi ended up being late too, because Kandi ended up getting food. Shonda says the Kandi had to eat first. She went to Chick-fil-A. All right. Layla says red hair Kandi is the best. Kandi went in on Kenya because she was like, you're not gonna talk to me any old kind of way. So she's like, you need to sit down. We ain't nobody trying to hear what you have to say. Oh, Anastasia says, I don't believe Kandi and Kenya are friends now. No, they are. For the most part, because like if they weren't really friends, we wouldn't be seeing them hang out, their kids hang out and stuff like that. You see how Kandi's always defending Kenya, even when Kenya's wrong. Just say. All right. But yeah. So they get into it. Kandi and Kenya get into it on the bus. All right. So they eventually make their way to Georgia. So it's so funny, and that's what makes them top tier housewives, because they went from having that crunk moment to having a good time on the ride there, where they're talking about their relationships and things like that. And this is where Nene's being a producer, and she's talking about how Monique is very obedient to her husband, Chuck. And then they start comparing Monique's relationship to Porsha's relationship, and Porsha starts crying on the bus because she's like, I feel like, basically what Porsha wanted to say. Basically, what Porsha wanted to say is that you guys are more gracious to Monique's relationship than you were to me. You guys made me feel bad about being obedient to my husband. And Monique is like, I'm not saying that I'm obedient, but we have conversations. There's communication. With the same way, if he's going to do something, he's going to check in with me. Maybe Monique's relationship may not be what we think it is. Then Porsha gets really upset. She's crying. Her makeup is all pouring down her face. People give her tissue. She has not dabbed it away. It's just pouring down the face. And she's crying. She's like, I just feel like you guys were not understanding to my relationship when I was, talking about these similar things and being obedient to Cordell. And then this is where I think Kenya was sort of like, she doesn't respect Porsha and Porsha's mentality, because she made it seem as if when Porsha was talking about, if you're not sleeping with your husband enough, that's why he will step out and things like that. And Kenya didn't like the fact that she was like, you're making it seem like the only thing that you bring to this relationship is sex. And she feels like you should be able to bring more than just that. And then when we look about the future, when it comes to the future of these casts of characters, you're sort of like, that's sort of what Portia has continued to do in her life. Like that's the only thing that it seems like she offers in a relationship is this. You know what I mean? Sex appeal, sex, whatever it may be. I don't know about that and her and Simon Gobadia, but and if you missed the podcast episode, we spilled a lot more information and updates on what's going on between Portia and Simon's divorce. I mean, the divorce is final, but yeah. Savannah says that Kenya and Kandi came a long way, a very long way, very long way. Okay, before we move on to episode 8, guys, don't forget to like this video. I'm also going to drop the call-in link for our members of the channel. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. All right, I'm going to drop this for the members, for those that want to weigh in on season 6 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let me just do this now before I forget, because episode 8 was so good. Because they finally get to the haunted house, the wedding cake mansion in Savannah. And Kandi, first of all, she was late. And she runs. Well, she didn't really run. Kandi was ahead of them, and she went to the first room on the second floor. And that's the primary suite, the master suite. And she literally plops down her bag and said, "This is my room." And everyone, including Kenya, were like, "How are you going to take?" First of all, you were late for the trip, and then you're taking the best room. The best room should go to the person hosting the trip. And I'm thinking, now that we know more about Housewives, we know that none of the, we know Nene's not. She's hosting the trip, but she didn't pay for this trip. So now when you look at stuff like that, you're like, is that why Kandi in her head is like, she's not paying for this trip? We get to choose our rooms. But she's hosting the trip. So what do you guys think about this? I have to say, Kandi came across bratty. That's what I'm noticing of Kandi in this season 6. She's coming across bratty. And maybe because she's so used to the way that her mom treats her in comparison to other people, and how the candy coated clique treat her. And I was like, she's coming across bratty and entitled. Because my thing is, regardless, this is her. Nene's the one hosting this trip, planning this trip, trying to gather everyone together. She gathered everyone at her house. She was giving out roses to all of you. She had drinks and things like that. At the very least, Kandi could have been like, "Okay, Nene, you want this room? I'm going to get the next best room." But yeah, Kandi was like, "This is my room, and this is where I'm going to stay." Superstar 7 says Kandi is so disrespectful and bratty. She's definitely giving bratty in season 6. Ooh, Patrick Mommy says, "I do not and have not liked Kandi." Ooh. Roger says Kandi took off real quick. Not really. Because when you look back at it, someone was running, but that was Monique. So I don't know what she was running to. But yeah. So that becomes an issue. She took this room, blah, 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 blah. There comes a moment between Phaedra and Monique in the kitchen about Phaedra being late, and Phaedra has to check Monique, to the point where Monique later on, they were like, "Oh, Phaedra read you." She's like, "I don't feel read." But you were read, Monique. She read you. Cynthia tries to give Monique reading lessons. She's like, "Girl, you're gonna need to look good too." So Monique is biracial. So, and she grew up with the white side of her family, it looks like. So she says, she's learning from these women. And this is what going on Cynthia's 3rd season with this crew. So she's sort of like trying to give her the ropes, which I thought was cute. Okay. So, and then next week's episode, when we talk about episode 9, this is where things start to get there's a breakdown in Nene and Cynthia's friendship. Right now, all's good. This is why I said I'm not going to skip ahead and talk about episode 9, because this is a good ending point. This particular episode 8. So, did they choose their rooms? Porsha did not want to sleep in the basement because the Tammy was like, our guests have reported possible ghosts. So Portia's like, "I don't want to be in the basement by myself." Okay. Anita says she was coming off as being in charge. And look, I'm thinking all of what happened between Kandi and Nene all stems from this episode. So Nene has never seen it for Kandi ever since then. Okima says, I respect Kandi's hustle. I don't know if I like Kandi, which is okay. Y'all don't need to like Kandi. Quiet says they were really trying to help Monique with a Y out. They were trying. They were definitely trying, but then they wore her out by the end of episode 8. We'll get to that in a second. Okay. So Kandi and Phaedra go for a walk. They run into the whole the guy with he was driving a hearse. So of course Phaedra, she was very obsessed with dead people at this particular point. So she's asking all kinds of questions, but they're also talking about what's happening with the girls, about them being, accusing them of being late. And they're like, they were very late at our events. All right. So they talk about that. What else happens in this episode that I wanted to talk about? Let me go down. Plan a trip. All right. Let me take a sip. All this talking. I've been talking for like an hour and a half. And it's my own fault because I was like, oh, let's do 4 episodes instead of 3. So they get over their issues for the most part. And then they wake up for the next day. And this is where Cynthia's helping Monique with a Y out with her makeup and her hair and things like that. Okay. So they're all out and about taking on the sights and sounds, okay, of Savannah, Georgia. So they go to the oldest church in African-American history, okay? And this is where they talk about the Underground Railroad. And literally, this is where Porsha is just like, there's got to be a way for them to get out because they came in. And both Phaedra and Kandi were like, it's a euphemism. It's a figure of speech. There really wasn't a railroad. And then you could see in her face, like she's trying to clean it up, like her eyes are wide and she's really trying to clean it up. But she's like, there had to be one person. And they're like, Kandi in her confession was like, it wasn't a train. And mind you, this all came out after she talked about, I feel so connected to my roots. And she talked about how she remembers marching with her grandfather and them throwing things at them. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. How old is Porsha? Wait. Maybe it's just other marches, like the later marches, not the civil rights marches. Because I was like, wait a minute. But okay. Fine. So she talks about that. And then literally we have this comment. They had to be so embarrassed. Flip says, I low-key love it. A lot of people from the Bravo universe have loved this moment. But when you rewatch it, you're like, and then her trying to clean it up, it was like, girl, stop trying to clean it up. Stop. Just stop. You'd be like, oh. But she really tried to clean it up, and it was not helping. Porsha said, Superstar 7 says, Porsha says she remembered marching to Selma. Mr. Mellenbach says she was born in 1981. Elle says that Portia's the time traveler. But why does no one ever clock her for that? Because I'm like, Porsha, you remember being a little girl marching with... And then again, she could have been talking about marching in other marches afterwards, but I was like... Queendom says Kenya was me in this episode. It almost hurts me to be... Wait, I think I actually have that clip. I have the audio I think I could play for you guys. Please hold. As I do that, don't forget to like the video. It's easy, interest-free. Hold on. Because if you watch any of my videos, I've included it sometimes in my videos. Because sometimes these stories that I cover, I'm like, it hurts me for how stupid some of these people can be. Hold on. Where is it? I know I have it somewhere. Let me see. Scrolling. Where is it? I know I have it because I use it all the damn time. Please hold, y'all. Where is it? I got that one. I don't know what I did with it, y'all. All right. This is a live show. I thought I had it somewhere nearby. And I don't see it. Weird. But y'all know what moment, because it does hurt me to be how stupid she was in that moment. Says Jose Williams is just her grandfather. I don't think that they were close for real because Porsha wasn't close to her own father growing up. I mean, she's still very much involved in his charity and stuff. Well, I don't know how involved, but at least on her show, she seemed like she was involved. I know Londi was involved, but yeah. I know Symmetry. I know, but the way that Porsha made it sound, Symmetry says, to be fair, there were other marches, not just those in the 1960s. I know, but the way that she made it seem, I was like, which march, Porsha? Tell us which march? Which march? Just wanted to know. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. Miss Mellenbach says Kandi and Phaedra were trying so hard to help Porsha, but she was also trying to help herself. And I was like, it's not helping. Just quit it. Quit it while you're ahead. But anyway, so we have that moment in the church, the legendary moment of the Underground Railroad and Porsha not knowing that it wasn't an actual railroad. Okay, fine. What else happens? So let's get to the final part, and then we can get to some callers. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're doing our rewind, rewatch, recap with myself of season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And right now we are in Savannah, Georgia for their Savannah, Georgia trip. All right. So they all meet up. Phaedra has to go because she's still breastfeeding. So she goes to take care of that. The ladies meet up for a drink and they're talking. And then, because we already know at this particular point, well, some of us already know that Kandi had dated Chuck. But Monica ends up, Monique ends up bringing it up. And she tries to make it seem like Kandi and Chuck were, remember in the earlier episodes, she referred to Kandi as a one-hit wonder, meaning like, she really tried to downgrade the relationship, making it seem like, oh, he hit it and he quit it. And he was like, oh yeah, they were like together for 2 weeks. And Kandi was like, 2 weeks? She's like, it wasn't a long-term friend relationship, but we dated when I was 19. Then we dated again when I was 21. And then she was sort of like downplaying the relationship. And Kandi was like, I was hot. I had records on the radio and things like that at that time. Everybody was checking for me at that time. Okay. But she kept on digging a hole, Monique. She kept on digging a hole for herself because Nene wasn't, and mind you, Monique is supposed to be Nene's friend, but Nene is the one who kept on bringing up like Chuck's past with the women. Because remember, she was the one to bring up the whole head doctor stuff. She was the one to bring up, oh, he dated Phaedra too. She kept on throwing her under the bus. Because then she brought up Phaedra. So what about Phaedra? And then Kandi was like, yeah, he dated Phaedra too. But he denied dating Phaedra when asked about it earlier. Keith says that Monique was standing up for her man. Yeah, but she was faltering. Because everyone was just like, what is happening right now? And then when Phaedra came and they brought it up, Phaedra was like, oh yeah, I dated him when we were like in grammar school and then in college. I want to know too. Destiny says, "Are they still married?" By the way, I thought about that too, but I didn't care enough. I didn't care enough to look it up. I'm assuming they're still married. Are they still married? Can someone tell me? Can someone look that up? Are Chuck and Monique still married? Who knows? But based off of the way they were making this relationship look, I didn't think they would be still married. But you never know. You never know. All right. So this conversation, although it was very juicy conversation, Cupid says, so Chuck was trash. Yeah, because either Chuck was trash or Phaedra was doing what she did with Charles Oakley. I know Charles. Because that's the thing with Phaedra. You never know if she's telling the truth or not telling the truth. Did they casually hook up? Who knows? You know? Let me see. Kay Walker says, Kempire, we need to add back. We need to add back checking with these reviews back on the show rerun cap. Huh? I don't understand what you mean, Kay. Is this the Roger Bob era? No. This is not the Roger Bob era. Oh, look at that. Keith says, just Googled his IG and they're still married. Look at that. Oh, look at NYC DMP says the 25-year anniversary, July of 2025. Mazel tov. Queen Up says Phaedra was lying. That's the thing. I don't know. Because remember, Kandi's basing off her information of that. No, I believe she knows Chuck, but unlike how she knows Charles Oakley, but her saying that they dated when they were in grammar school and then dated again when they're in college. That's interesting. Y'all don't think that's interesting? And I can't remember if during the reunion they talk about it. Miss Mellon Badge that season 7 was Roger Bob. All right. You know what Okima says? The money is funny, Kempire. A lot of people still together. Okay. Look, fine. So it gets heated, not just between Kandi and Monique, because she's just like you're the one who brought this up. Why are you trying to downplay my? Why are you trying to tell me about a relationship I had with your husband before you were even in the picture? Okay. And then Phaedra says one other thing. Okay. Oh wait, who? What? Where? Keisha says she filed for divorce in 2017, but yes, they're still together. Really? Wow. Okay. Now y'all getting the information. So 4 years after, Real Housewives of Atlanta, clearly based on Monique being on the show, it did seem as if she was trying to have a peach, right? Well, anyway, so after they start talking about Chuck's past and things like that, it gets a little heated between Porsha and Monique because Monique didn't like what Porsha had to say about the relationship. And she was like, why are you coming at me? And then you see an activated Porsha, real activated Porsha. Elle says, I guess she withdrew it. I wonder what was happening. Joya says, I remember when Chuck was rude to Phaedra during the car ride to Athens. What episode was that? Y'all asking me about episode. I don't remember what episode that was. Y'all know I don't remember stuff like that. Guys, we're almost at 400 likes. We're talking about season 6 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you're part of the Replay crew, be sure to let us know your thoughts on season 6, episodes 5 through 8. Okay, I'm all talked out. I will talk more about this when we get to the callers. If you're a member of the channel, I've already dropped the calling link for you guys on the community tab. Live chat, once we get to 400 likes, I'll drop the calling link for you guys as well. Okay? All right, let's bring up Taurus with the T-Mobile for...
Hey Cam, can you hear me?
Yes, what's going on?
Don't do me, please. I wanted to call back in last week to say that it's just the area where I live that has happened multiple times. It's so embarrassing.
It's
But
okay. We'll play.
I wanted to say, honestly, I think in the earlier seasons when Kenya was trying to talk more about her mom, I really despised Aunt Lori for shying away from that conversation because if
Mm,
Kenya has said time and time again that the lack of relationship that she had with her mom has affected her throughout her life. And I
mm,
can't imagine what it must be like for her to create new relationship with these other women on the show,
mm,
see all of their mothers be integrated into their storylines and her practically be shunned away from asking any questions pertaining to her mom.
mm,
So I really enjoyed when she consoles Cynthia crying about the entire Noel situation and how, she was being a confident and she was being a good mom to her.
yeah.
So yeah, and Mama Joyce, honestly, she was a trip. I could not stand her this season, but she made such great television.
Mm,
And I really do live for Kandi being activated, not only with Monique, but in the coming episodes along with Natalie. She was on one that season. It was so good.
mm.
And
And
if you're
probably the
taking
stress from her mama.
yes, and if you're taking recommendations, please rewatch season 3 or 4 from Potomac. Those are really good. That's when Candace had first
Mm.
joined.
Okay. All right, Toss with the
Okay,
T. Thank you for calling in.
bye.
Bye.
T-Mobile out.
Bye. She said T-Mobile out. Y'all are a mess. Keisha says, oh, an ad of restraining order was filed. Oh, I mean, things could happen in marriages. I'm not going to judge them. They were able to find their way back to each other, but damn. Okay. All right, let me drop the call link for the general audience as well because we reached over 400 likes. Guys, keep liking the video. We are launching our new show, the Rewind Rewatch Recap, with myself. We're talking about season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you're part of the replay crew, be sure to like the video and be sure to let us know your thoughts on the season as well. Jess is backstage and bring Jess up next. Jess, what did you want to share?
Oh, hey, Kempire. So I
Hey.
remember from like rewatching the episodes that yeah, I feel like Mama Joyce was like really, really insufferable in some areas. But like I guess like playing it back currently, I feel like maybe she had a premonition that maybe she was privy to the fact that they do have like a threesome type of marriage and everything like that. And I think that because of that, maybe she was like so weary about the whole like wandering eye thing and everything.
Mm.
But that's just me thinking now, but at the time, it just was like so uncomfortable the way that she treated Talk because I did watch some of the episodes back. And I will say, like, like even this season is like really, really iconic in a way because even like that whole like I don't feel red from Monique was like it was really popular. And then just in these episodes alone, and also even when Nene, she was like Arthur, and the way
Yes.
she said his name, the way she said his name and everything. But yeah, she was definitely producing this season, as we're gonna see later on, for sure. But I think I know that like she brought on Monique, and then Cynthia brought on the other lady. But yeah, it was
Okay.
a good season so far.
Thanks, Jess, for calling in.
No problem. Bye.
Just reminded me that moment when they were Cynthia and Nene were shopping in the supermarket, and she had mentioned, "Oh yeah, Noelle is dating this kid Arthur," and she was like, "Arthur." It really is an iconic moment when she says it. You're like, it's so funny. Okay, Janelle's backstage. We're gonna bring Janelle up next. Janelle, what did you want to share?
Bonjour, Kempire. How are you, my
I'm
darling?
well. How are you?
I am good. Okay, I had to do some research. She does not say that she does not state that she has a vasovagal syncope until season 10.
Oh, see.
But I
Wait,
still
does she say that in regards to not going to to what's her name's wedding?
to everything. Like they do, like I think if I'm correct, and please, and the people in the chat who remember it, I think they do like a montage or something of all the reasons why she like the excuse, like the times where she's like, I can't, I fainted, and I don't know. Somebody in the chat maybe remember, and I may be wrong. I don't know, but I know it was season 10. She said it. Also, I have dealt with them. Fortunately, I have not had them in now 5 years, but I can tell you one thing, and they happen out of the blue. Because you're caught up in the moment of the stress, whatever you're dealing with. And then people think you're having a stroke. Like every time I had one, people thought I was having a stroke. And because like I would like black out. And I'll be like, wait, what just happened? It's very scary. And so when Porsha said it, I was like, girl, bye. Girl, not joking matter. Also, my grandfather knew Hosea Williams. And because my grandfather was an activist back in Daytona Beach, and so when Hosea Williams would come through the area, he would eat at my grandfather's house, and like that would be like the night where they would have like that's where they felt safe because it was the 60s. It was a different time. But Porsche needs to sit down. That's all I gotta say.
Thanks, Janelle.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness. Well, so we find that out later. So I'm gonna keep my thoughts on based on what we've seen in this episode. All right, Keith is backstage. We're gonna bring Keith up next. Keith, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
So first of all, I just want to say I don't think Monique was red. I think she was more so gathered. Like there's a little bit of a difference between the two. All right. So I'll give her that. She wasn't red. But also I wanted to say that Mama Joyce was definitely problematic. I want to say the earlier seasons, but the present season she was still problematic. So she's been problematic all her life since Kandi was engaged to that man in season 2. And also well, two last things. One, the scene with Portia and the whole Underground Railroad was actually quite disturbing because grandfather aside, where was she during social studies? Like, was she not awake or paying attention? Because you don't need to have a grandfather that was in the civil rights movement to understand that slaves weren't on an electric train going from Tennessee to New York. I would assume, like, even common sense would assume that that wouldn't be the case, but I shouldn't assume everyone has common sense. But lastly, I just can't wait for the scene where Nene says, the AIDS. But that's about it, though. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. You guys are our best. Let me say thank you. We had a super chat. Hey, Rita. Thank you so much for being a member for the super chat. Rita says, late to the party, excited to watch the beginning later on. I just finished watching the last recap of Real Housewives of Miami while working. Sending love from Germany. Thank you, Rita. Oh, Rita, we digressed so much in that recap last week. We talked about T-Mobile. Do they have T-Mobile in Germany? We digress so much, but it was a fun kiki. All right. Imagine the AIDS. Y'all are our best. Okay. No, I have to say, you guys chose very well when it comes to the first show that we should be recapping and season we should be recapping for the Rewind, Rewatch, Recap. All right. Angel's backstage. We're going to bring Angel up next. Angel, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire. I
Hey.
just wanted to share about season 6. It is so good. I overstood the assignment. I watched till episode 10 and then I had to force myself to stop watching.
Me too.
But I'm not a Candy stan or anything, but I do feel her pain having a Scorpio mother. And then on top of that, she has a Scorpio aunt who wants to control her life. My psycho mother, whose birthday is on Halloween,
Mine
kind of
too.
did something similar. What? Oh my God. Okay. So my mom did something similar when I started dating my husband, where she was so upset that she threw a fan at him because I missed curfew. Mind you, I was 22 years old. So I feel Candy's pain, but at least Mama Joyce didn't get violent with her. So I totally get it. And I just, oh my God. Yeah. Just
I'm not shocked at that.
not at
Ooh.
all. And then, oh my God. See, that made me forget what I was going to say next, but so I'll just leave it there.
Call back in if you remember.
Okay, Kim.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, isn't that funny? We both have mothers that were born on Halloween. That says enough. All right, Kookie's backstage. We're going to bring Kookie up next. Kookie, what did you want to share?
Hi, Kempire.
Hey.
So I have not been caught up on season 6, so I've just been watching like the commentary.
Mm,
But for me, I watched it recently because I'm pretty young, so I didn't see it back then. But I just remember it not being as dark as it is now. And
mm.
like even with I've always thought like Kenya was like a little bit couple of screws loose, but like it was never that deep and it was never that dark. And
Yeah.
so it's like like the lightness of like the drama is
Mm,
really nice.
yeah.
So I've just been really, really enjoying the season. So I'm definitely gonna secure some like virtual tickets to the New York show, right?
Yes.
I gotta get those. So I hope it does like more commentary of season 6 comes up because I love like seasons 1 through 9. I'm a
Mm,
Nene stan, so seeing her not in that when she got in that really big bad funk, it was really she just was not good TV at that time. So
yeah.
seeing her a good TV area has been super good. So
Yeah. This is
I'm
prime
excited for
Nene.
the series. Prime Nene for sure. And even with Kenya, like her and Nene going back and forth is like epic.
Yeah.
So this is like the best of the best.
All right, Kookie, thank you so much for calling in. All right. Oh, perfect timing. Guys, again, keep liking the video. We're almost at 500 likes. Rita says, yes, we have T-Mobile and it's very expensive. Isn't that interesting? And it's considered inexpensive here in the States. That's so interesting. I wonder why. All right, let's bring up Brittany. Brittany will be our last caller. Brittany, what did you want to share?
Hi, Camp. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm well. How are you?
Am I muted? I'm sorry. I'm good. I'm at work right now. I'm a mail carrier, so I'm listening in my mail truck right now. But I wanted to say, I think that Kenya, and her aunt, I think that situation is always very weird to me because she did grow up in the house with her mom, so her mom never acknowledged her even when she did grow up in the house with her. So to me, as the aunt, I don't see how you could like get with that. I don't see how you could agree with that
Yeah.
as her, even though that's your sister or whatever, and she was young. I just don't see how you could shun her daughter from trying to build a relationship with her.
Mm.
And also, I wanted to say that this was the last season that Nene was like smiling. I think after this season, she was smizing. You know how she said smizing? Like, that's what she was doing after this season. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Brittany, for calling in. Now get back to work.
You're welcome. I am. All right. Bye bye.
Shout out to all our mail carriers. We would be lost without our mail carriers. Okay. All right. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that this season it's so much, especially because we just recapped Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, and it's very. I'm not saying that season 16 was very dark. I mean, it kind of was with the whips and chains and the pistols and the. Yeah, no, never mind. Yes, it's prime reality television. It's definitely the top of the top, the best of the best. Millie, thank you so much for being a member, and thank you for the super chat. Millie says, I haven't laughed this much as at a Housewives episode in a while. Seeing everyone be so light and shady was why we tuned in. Love from, what flag is that, Millie? What flag is that? I don't know what flag that is. You're going to get me caught out here, Millie, like Porsha. Millie, what flag is that? It really is. This is what people love. And it's so interesting because when you look at the dynamics in this group, not everyone were tight friends, but no, we had like Nene and Cynthia they became friends from being on the show. Phaedra and Kandi actually became friends from being on the show. They just had good chemistry. That's why I said, yes, it'd be great if you can find like, oh, it's Kenya. Oh, shout out to Kenya. The country, not Kenya Moore. But it's sort of like, it's not just about people actually being friends, it's the chemistry. But yeah. All right. Coco says, I want to go to Kenya so bad. Me too. I want to go everywhere though. That's me. All right. Last but definitely not least, we're going to bring up Nicole. Nicole, what did you want to share about this rewatch?
Hey, Kempire, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. Please keep up with Mama Joyce's accent. I love it. I'm from the South, so I don't take offense to it.
Thank
So
you.
I love it. You do a great job at
Thank
it.
you.
Well, what I wanted to say with Mama Joyce, she's just that typical Southern older woman who's been probably jaded and and done wrong by a man in her life. We
Mm,
don't really know about Candy's father like that,
yeah.
but I just think Mama Joyce just needs a boyfriend, and it is like because what I see is like I see why Candy is so her eye is so much on being her success
Mm,
because Candy was thrown into being an only child once she
yeah.
lost her brother,
Yeah.
and so it put a lot of pressure on her. But I think that Mama Joyce now she needs to just heal herself. I know there's a big age, and I understand because I'm only child. So when the mama you hate the spotlight on you like that. Like, Mama, just get a life, just do something. And I see that kind of with Mama Joy. And I just think that maybe she needs to look at how Candy has set a different standard. She broke that generational curse where she's in a loving marriage. I
Mm.
like Todd. She got these two younger children on top of Riley, who's doing her own thing. So I just think that Mama Joyce just needs to just melt that ice away, but I don't think it's going to happen because she's already up there in age. So,
Miss Barker says that according to Candy, Mama Joyce has been married a few times.
yeah, you see,
Isn't she
see,
married? Isn't she married now though? I think she's married now.
and see, women like that. No offense, because I have an aunt like this who's had 5 husbands.
Oh wait,
When they
hold on.
go through marriages, huh?
Mia says the
What you
gag
say?
is that Mama Joyce had a boyfriend for many of those years. She's still devoted her time to Candy. Yeah, because I recall that. So again, I think
Mm,
it's a Scorpio mom, and anyone that has a Scorpio mom understands
yeah,
it doesn't matter
yeah.
if they're married or in a relationship. It's going to still be the same.
Right. She's just gonna always just be there. And I think that once she lost her son
Mm,
and then Candy's brother, it just automatically just the spotlight is more on her now and just the standards and just everything just yeah. So I feel for Candy to a point because that's why I agree with you when you look at the season that you're talking about, how Candy just sat back and she just because that's her
yeah,
mama. And then on top of that, she know her mama probably still grieving over her son and all that other stuff. So
yeah.
yeah, I give her kind of grace with that. But then there's a point where you just have to go like, what, just hush up. Old lady gang, all of them chiming in too at the same time. But they're all sweet. I love
Yeah.
them. There was an old Southern woman. They
I've
always
met
keep
them.
you
They're very
laughing.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you saying that like Aretha Franklin in the nice
No,
gowns
no,
or
they were
what?
actually very sweet. I was surprised. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and that's what I wish we would go back to that old Atlanta,
Mm,
that thing, not the love and hip hop era of this. It's just taken away. And they do Nene. I've never been a Nene fan, but they do such a disservice to her. Because one thing I'm gonna do, I'm always gonna give a woman her credit where she worked hard for it. But
Yeah.
I just think Nene's ego got the best of her, and that
Mm.
was her downfall.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right, sweetheart. You have a great
You too, Nicole.
day.
Thanks for calling in. Bye. Yeah, but I always say this, and I was just talking about. You remember the Salt guy, the Salt Bay, that guy. So I saw the story about, he has like these restaurants. He was like he had like the downfall, like the rise and downfall of him. And I saw this. I think it was on this Shade Room. No, it was maybe it was on It's on Sites Instagram. They told the story about like his rise and fall. I was like, the success really is just it just shows you who people really are. It's not the money that changes people. It's not the success that changes people. It shows you who they really are. So that's probably just who Nene was always. Still, it still doesn't take away from her her iconicness from these years, but yeah, it went to her head. Went to her head. All right, we have 444 likes. I like that angel number. Thank you guys so much for liking the video. If you haven't already, be sure to keep liking the video. If you're watching a replay of this, be sure to let us know your thoughts on episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8 of season 6 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. We will continue next week, Monday, same time, same place here on the channel, recapping season 6, episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're getting through this. This is why I said I want to do like the 4 episodes. And before you know it, we'll be at the reunion. And then we will recap a season from Real Housewives of New York. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And don't forget, you can hear our live recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast. While you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And don't forget, I did upload a juicy podcast episode with some of the stories that we covered last week here on the channel with quite a few updates and some additional stuff. So it's a juicy, almost 2-hour podcast episode that you can listen to right now. So go subscribe. And if you are a Club Kempire member, Club Kempire baddie, I've already dropped a new episode there. And I have some more because I want to talk about Big Brother. I want to talk about And Just Like That and that season finale, series finale. There's a lot for us to unpack. So that's why I usually talk about it. There's a free 3-day trial. So if you haven't got into our Apple Podcast subscription, you can check it out there. All right. Thank you to our Kings Guards. Thank you to our channel members. Thank you to everyone watching on Twitch, Twitter, and on Facebook. And of course, here on YouTube. We appreciate you guys as well. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye, y'all. Here we go now. We'll be right back.